so alive. Summer rhythms playing with a thrive. Go, 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 oh, shout it aloud. In the summer sun, with a summer loving crowd. Talking Brazil ball.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking Brazil Ball, the podcast all about Brazilian football. We're back with another action-packed week of Brasileirão action. Palmeiras blow Fortaleza away. Cruzeiro maintain their march towards the top of the table, and Grêmio win the Grenal derby. All of that and much more to come in today's show. There we go. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome again. Like I said, it's another busy week of action in the Brasileirão. I'm James Brook. I'm joined as always by George. George, como vai? How are we doing today?
Yeah, como vai? I'm okay, obrigado. Thank you, James. I'm doing all right. The sun's out again. It's getting to the winter time, isn't it? Now the sort of autumn sunshine is quite nice, isn't it? But how are you doing?
Very well. Yeah, it's a nice day. It is a bit chilly actually out, but it is a nice sunshine. Very much an autumnal day, and we don't mind a bit of that. But yeah, it's otherwise I'm all good. It's a lot going on this week in terms of Brazilian football, not just the Brasileirão, but also a bit of Sudamericana and Copa Libertadores action. So no doubt we'll get into a little bit of that as well. But before we do kick off, have you got a quiz this week? I think you promised one. You didn't have one last time.
Yeah, no, I do, James. Promise delivered. I do have a quiz for you. Just a small one as it is. But it's one nonetheless. So it's going around the theme of dissent a little bit here, James, and I will give you a red card if you get it wrong. So
what's that mean? You're going to do the show by yourself?
No, you're just time out or something. I don't know, do I? But
you're going to have see what happens here. Then.
But yeah, so you. So it's around, sort of. We know Brasileirão is, a bit famed for its bit of feisty nature, and it's been a bit of a feisty week, James, in terms of red cards. There were 5 shown in all in round 24 of the Serie A season. Now, what I want to know, James, it's only been bettered that score by 1 week in this season's Brasileirão, where more red cards were shown. I want to know, it's quite simply, how many red cards were shown? There were 5 this week, so there was more in just one other round. How many was shown in that round, do you think?
8.
Oh, no, it's a red card for you. It was 6.
Oh dear. Well, what happens now then? You're giving this big talk about red cards and stuff. What happens next?
Well, it doesn't matter. You can just continue, but
meaningless then, isn't it?
No, well, it's a yellow card for you then, isn't it? If you get I tell you what, if you get the next week's one wrong, it's a red card and you're off for a couple of minutes.
All right, then fine. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that one then. Well done. It was definitely a feisty round, 5 red cards. I mean, we have come to expect this from Brazil. There's plenty of fisticuffs and silly challenges and things like that. So it's not a massive surprise to hear that to know that there were so many red cards. Right, well done, George. That's a great little quiz, and it kicks us off nicely into those roundup of those fixtures, those results that happened in match day 24 this time, wasn't it? So why don't you give us a rundown of those results before we get into it?
Yeah, it'd be my pleasure, James. So round 24 started on Saturday, the 20th of September, with Vitória 0, Fluminense 1, Fogo 1, Galo 0, Ceará 1, Bahia 1, into Sunday the 21st, Palmeiras 4, Fortaleza 1, Mirassol keep going, James, 2-0 winners over Juventude. 1 apiece it ended in Flamengo against Vasco. Inter 2, Grêmio 3, Sport 1, Corinthians 0. Into Monday the 22nd, then Cruzeiro 2, Bragantino 1. And the match day ended, James, with a Sao Paulo derby of sorts, with Santos coming on top of Sao Paulo themselves in a 1-0 win.
Yep, absolutely. There were a couple of errant fixtures as well, I think probably from earlier in the season. Grêmio drew 1-1 with Botafogo, and Vasco got a much-needed win 3-1 against Bahia last night, I think, or early this morning. So a couple of kind of outliers there. We know that there are other fixtures that need to be replayed or, caught up on, and they will be at some stage. So those were two that we're not going to include in this match day in this episode, but they did happen. But let's instead go into the games of the week, George. We were both covering our teams, I think, this time, weren't we? So neither of them are doing so well. And unfortunately, that very much continued this week. We'll talk about Inter in a little bit because there's plenty to go over there. But first of all, why don't you let us know what went on when Fogo met Gallo on Saturday?
Yeah, I will, James. Just before I do, it's worth noting you did mention that a couple of outlying games. Grêmio drew one apiece with Fogo. Arman Volpi got another penalty, James. The goalkeeper equalised the game in the last minute with a 90th minute penalty. Cuyabano on loan now from Forest, isn't he? He put Fogo ahead, but Arman Volpi put the ball in net from the penalty spot to level the game, and it ended 1-1. Let's get back to Fogo's previous game against my team, Gallo, on Saturday, like you said, James. And again, it was Gallo are slipping down. I said to you yesterday, I think, James, or the other day, I think Gallo are going to go down. They just cannot seem to get any sort of form going. The manager obviously was changed recently, but Sampaoli, he hasn't won a league game yet since he arrived. He only just won his first game last night in the Sudamericana. Gallo are through. They beat Bolivar at home, and Bernard. They had to rely on a late winner from Bernard to get through that one. So they are through to the semi-final of that competition. Whether they throw more weight on the cup competitions like they did last season, we'll wait to see. But in this particular game, Fogo had the less of the play, really. Gallo did, hammer down at the door, but they found the goalkeeper Leonardo Link in quite good form. Jane made a couple of really nice saves from Gallo, but Gallo just a lot of possession, no real bite. And in the end, it was won by a goal from Santiago Rodriguez. A really nice header, actually, from a cross from the left-hand side from Alvaro Montoro, who was potentially put himself with that assist in line, possibly for the Young Player of the Round award, although he did not win that. He has won it in the past, though, hasn't he? It was a nice header to win the game in the end. Few minutes after the restart for the second half, lovely headed goal. But obviously, this is a real opportunity miss for Gallo, because Fogo were down to 10 men for quite a lot of that game. Christopher Ramos, who's on loan from Cadiz, who has spoken about before, made a real impact on his debut, James. He got sent off right on the stroke of half time. Stupidness from a corner kick, flailing elbow into the face of one of the Gallo players. It went to VAR, referee agreed and sent him off. So Gallo missed an opportunity against 10 men, obviously hammered down the door in terms of possession, lots of possession, but couldn't do much in the end. And Fogo got the goal and just sat there and in the end ended up with a good win. That sits them in fifth position. 2 points off Mirasol in fourth. Obviously, they drew last night, which was one of the games in hand. So now Mirasol and Bahia behind them also have a game in hand on them now. So it wasn't, I don't know. They're not having the best of seasons, really, to say that they won the league last time. But I'm sure David Ancelotti will be kind of quite happy with how they're chugging along there. And as for Gallo, 3 points now above the relegation zone. Like I said, Sampaoli yet to win in the league. They did beat Bolivar last night, but before then, it's no wins in 7 games, James, and no wins in the league since early August against Bragantino. It's just simple. It's not good enough, and they really have to watch out now. But it's just not good enough. The team is dry for me. It's a little bit. There's not a lot of spark in there. They really do need to fix up for me.
Yeah, they're the only Brazilian team left in the Sudamericana. So you would have to say that there may be favourites for that, although Lanús beat Flu over 2 legs. So they're into the semi-finals already. Galo will face Independiente del Valle, who are actually a good team, have plenty of talents always coming through there, Ecuadorians. So, but yeah, that looks like the most likely get out of jail route this season. But they do have to be careful, because if they do put stock into that, they may just slip into the relegation zone. They are very, very close to it. So, yeah, it's not looking good for them, and you do wonder where the goals are going to come from. Hulk seems to have maybe been just on the way out now, and yeah, nobody else is picking up any kind of slack for them. So certainly difficult times for Galo.
Hulk's only got 4 goals, James, and he's still the top scorer, but he hasn't scored in the league for quite some time, since the end of July. So I mean, that says it all, doesn't it? I mean, who's getting the goals? He's top scorer. He scored 2 goals at the end of July against Palmeiras. That's half of his goal haul for the whole season. So it's just 21 goals off, what is it, 23 games or whatever we're into now for Galo, 22 games. 21 goals from 22 games is not good at all, really.
No, and I mean, they have brought in Rainier, haven't they? Is he a new signing? Is he the fella who was at Real Madrid? He was.
That's right.
So he was at Dortmund.
Yeah, so he's come in from a couple of. He came in August. He's played 5 Serie A games so far this season, but he's got stock in Europe, like you said. Came through, came to Real Madrid, didn't he? He didn't play a first-team game, but he's got stock in Europe with Dortmund, like you said. Did play quite a number of games for them over a couple of years. There's Girona as well. There's Granada in Spain as well, and there's Frosinone in Italy as well. So he's been across Europe a little bit, hasn't he? And then back to Brazil. Started at Flamengo, and he's back to Brazil now. So he's got a lot. He's done a lot in his short career. He's only 23 still. Serena could have a bit of an influence of it. No goals as of yet, but maybe he's one to watch for sure in the future. James, they need something. They really do, because need to stop hanging it all on Hulk. And he's 39, and he's not doing it now. So just need to quickly for me, transition out of him and, get some new blood in, really, that will score goals. And I don't think Sam Powell is probably he's a bit hot-headed, and he's not I don't think tactically it's the best option to go with, really. But there you go. I think he'll be soon out the door, to be quite honest.
If it continues like that, probably, although they might give him that chance in the Sudamericana. Yeah, Rainier's only got 15 career goals, so he's been around, but he's not prolific at all, and it obviously didn't work at Real Madrid for him, and that's why he's back in Brazil. But we'll see if he can kick on a little bit. Anyway, George, let's move on to my game of the week, which was the Grenal derby, of course, in Porto Alegre. Inter in a similar position, really, to Galo, although a couple of places above them, a couple of points above them. Taking on Grêmio, who at the time of kickoff were below them. But that has all changed, George, because Grêmio were able to go to the Beira Rio and win 3-2, which was, we predicted it before last week, during last week's show, before this game, that a loss for Inter could spell the end of Roger Mercado's time at Inter, and indeed that's exactly what happened. He was sacked, I think, immediately after the game. They didn't even wait till the day after. He was sacked straight away, and you can understand that. It wasn't a knee-jerk reaction. It wasn't on the back of the game itself. This had been coming for a while, and you can't have that kind of bad run of form at Inter and get away with it at any Brazilian team, really. So Mercado, we did like him as an Inter fan, of course. I was a fan of his, but it was time up for him, and they've swiftly moved to replace him, George, with Ramon Diaz, who you messaged me, said it looked like it might be Zubeldia for a little while, was the front runner. And I thought I like that appointment, looked like a good appointment, good manager, you know, bit of a cool dude. And they've gone in the other direction, gone for an old, very experienced head who, to be fair, has had plenty of success, especially with Corinthians, who were in a similar position to Inter when he took over, probably this time last year, and he went on a massive run to get them into the 7th or 8th, I think they came in the end, Corinthians. But yeah, not a really exciting appointment, to be fair. So just before talk about the game, what's your reaction to Ramon Diaz taking over at Inter?
Yeah, a little bit disappointed, James, to be honest. Like you said, I thought when I saw Zubeldia was close to it, I thought actually that'd be really cool. Like you said, did all right with Sao Paulo. He's got good stock in his previous jobs, and like I said, quite a cool, calm fella by the look of it. So I thought that would be quite good to have him back in the league. But I'm not, a bit disappointed with Ramon Diaz because it's just a bit of a nothing one for me, and he's been around the block. Yeah, he might do okay, but yeah, it's nothing. I think kind of like the new exciting ones coming in, and this is just quite the opposite, really. He'll do the job. He'll probably steady the ship. I don't think they'll get relegated, but it's just not an exciting one for me, to be honest.
No, and it does feel like one of those where you probably come back in 6 months and he'll be out the job again. Whereas with someone like Zubeldia, it feels like you can maybe try and build something a little bit. And I think that's what they tried to do with Mercado. Obviously, it hasn't really worked in the end. But yeah, we'll see how he gets on. But this game in particular, I mean, there's no excuse for him to lose in this. They were ahead twice, 2 penalties from Alan Patrick, who has still been in decent form, really. For them, a couple of penalties, but Gremio were never behind for very long. A couple of headed goals got them back into it. So it was 2-2 before half-time, actually. It was a bit of a mad end to the first half. But then Inter just couldn't get themselves ahead again, and eventually it was a winner there's still time to play when Alisson Edwards scored with it was about half an hour left, to be fair. And Gremio were actually given a red card 10 minutes later. Inter couldn't capitalise even on the 10 men, and it ended up going right down to the last seconds of the game where Inter got a third penalty and Patrick hit the post. So it could have all changed. I mean, you said maybe that penalty would have saved Mercado's job. I don't think so. I think they might have sacked him anyway, to be honest, on the back of a draw. I think they were looking for an excuse, and given that they were at home, they needed to win that really to keep him in the position. But yeah, I mean, I glossed over him there a little bit, but I mean, we can do the Young Player of the Round award if you like, because I did mention him there. You can play your little jingle.
Yeah, why not, James?
A bright future ahead for this guy, a young talent of Brazil. How far can he go? It's the Young Player of the Round award.
Yeah, and it certainly isn't Alan Patrick, the young player of the round. It was the man Alisson Edward, George, who I mentioned, and you can't say fairer than a winner in a local derby. It was a really well taken goal as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I was looking at this and I thought, yeah, that's as soon as I saw it. What is he, 19-year-old, coming off the bench? To be honest, James, he'd literally just come on. Came on in the 62nd minute, scored in the 63rd minute. What else do you want? Nice, really nice, squeezed in the finish low into the bottom corner with his left foot. Was a really, really nice introduction to a great old derby, like you said. What a way to win it! What a way to score your first Brasileirão goal. He has scored this season as well in the local competitions, and he has played quite a lot of games. He's not new to the Gremio lineup. It was his 19th appearance in the league this season, so he's not a new name for the Gremio fans, but he's a new scorer for the Gremio fans, and to score in the derby like that, to end the reign of a manager as well in Mercado, it would have felt sweet for him to score, and I'm sure he was absolutely delighted with that. And we'll have to keep an eye on him, to be honest. They have lost a few of the important players, James. We know that they've replaced well, they've added to the squad in Willian, who did get an assist in this game. It was his debut, 37-year-old on the other scale of his career. And also Vinicius scored, didn't he? I think that was his first goal for Gremio as well, because Martin Braithwaite is out for the season now. So they have to jig the attacking line up a little bit, and Alisson Edward potentially could be a new name on the team sheet from the start if he continues to score goals like that. Also, Andre was a goal and assist. He needs to step up as well now with Martin Braithwaite out for the season. But yeah, brilliant goal. Congratulations to him. I'm sure he's still reveling in it, even though Gremio have played since, and he did play a part in that draw with Fogo as well. But I'm sure he's still buzzing off the fact that he got his first goal.
Yeah, I imagine he would be. And like you said, it's a kind of a chance for him with that kind of slot opening up. I mean, important for Vinicius to score. He hasn't played a lot as well. He's a player who obviously has quality. And yeah, I mean, it's worth mentioning that Arthur, I mean, again, I glossed over it. Arthur was the man who got sent off. Mm-hmm. Arthur Melo, former Liverpool legend. I think he got about 6 minutes for Liverpool across the whole season, but he's ended up back in Brazil. He's a good signing at this level. And when you look at that Gremio team on paper, it is a decent kind of side. There's Fabian Balbuena as well, who was on the bench on this one, who was a former Premier League player as well with West Ham. So I think he's injured at the moment. But they do have plenty of kind of experience, plenty of quality as well. So yeah, they should hopefully be looking up now. I mean, I say hopefully, but Christian Pavon as well, of course, who's very experienced. So they should be looking up. This will hopefully keep them on. I mean, Mano Menezes has, again, not really delivered so far. He's still in the job. I think he's a little lucky to be so, but they're only 6 points off 7th place now, for example. So they've got Victoria next, and they should be looking to win that one. And they've got plenty of potential to quickly move up the table, really, if those players, including Alisson Edward, gets going. But as for Inter, just going back to Inter there, they really need to bounce back very, very quickly. It's been 2 really big defeats for them, really damaging defeats. They lost to Palmeiras, and then this one, they've got a game against Juventude, which, as we know, is relatively local. So they're going away there. They'll need to pick themselves up, and Ramon Diaz will have to get hold of them early doors and get them back into that one, because they didn't even score a goal from open play in this one. It's really not quite good enough. And you say you don't think they'll get relegated. I don't think they will as well, but they certainly don't want to be in this same position 5 or 6 games down the line, and that's the way it's going at the minute. So very, very disappointing. A bad time to be an Inter fan, really. They had a very good purple patch under Mercado at the end of last year. Aside from that, it's been pretty dismal since we've been kind of following them for the last 18 months or so. So yeah, hopefully better things ahead, but I don't know if Ramon Diaz is the answer as well, George, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure there'll be some kind of new manager bounce, and if there isn't, he might even be gone within a few games himself. So let's go on.
The thing is, James, just quickly, they sold a couple of really important attacking pieces to the jigsaw in the kind of summer, at back end of the transfer window, early doors in September, and
Valencia left, didn't they?
Don't really replace them. Wesley left, then Valencia. And Valencia has ended up in Mexico with Pachuca. Wesley has gone to the Far East to play in Qatar, to the Middle East. So, they haven't really replied, and they're hanging the hats on Patrick, who's scoring penalties. I mean, it would have been a fantastic effort to score a hat-trick of penalties. But I think 5 of his 7 goals, James, this season have come from the penalty spot, which is incredible, really. And they just need a lot more. They're just not getting it just now. And like I said, Ramon Diaz really has to take hold of them quickly. And, like Sabore is not stepping up either. So they really need something more.
Yeah, usually a pretty reliable penalty taker, Patrick. So I'm sure the Inter fans were expecting him to score. The keeper didn't move, so he would have gone in. It just hit the inside of the post and bounced back. But anyway, we'll see what goes on next with Inter. Let's move on, George, to the player of the round. And we've been talking about a few ex-Fulham players there. We're going to talk about another one now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and where Inter have just been struggling to get anything going at the moment, Palmeiras have been the absolute opposite. They have been a winning machine of late, and they won again, a comfortable one, 4-1 against the relegation mired Fortaleza. And the player of the round stepped into this one late on, George, and he delivered a kind of a clincher into the performance. And I'd say we talked about two former Fulham players there, Willian and Carlos Vinicius, and Andreas Pereira, who we haven't mentioned yet as a Palmeiras player. We knew that he'd moved across from Fulham at the end of the transfer window. He hasn't played an awful lot yet, but he showed his quality here with 2 goals, and he scoops the player of the round award.
Yeah, Andres Pereira, James, unbelievable signing at this level, as we discussed, a while ago. I don't honestly know how they've managed to acquire his signature. If I'm being completely honest, he's a regular, isn't he? Or he was up until recently. I know he was in the most recent Brazilian squad for Carlo Ancelotti as well. He's usually in it now. And for me, this is an incredible signing for Palmeiras. And Palmeiras, as we know, they love to kind of almost give teams a head start and then just claw it back with absolute batterings. And it started it seems like that, that season has started now, James, where Palmeiras are right in the thick of it, beating teams 4-0, 4-1, 3-0, whatever. It's a couple of 4-1 wins in a row, coupled with the River Plate aggregate win as well. They won off both legs, didn't they? They won both games for an aggregate win as well. It seems to be starting to come together for them now. And Pereira came on in the 75th minute of the game, I think, James, on the weekend, and he went and scored 2 really nice goals. I don't know if you've seen them, but both really, really nice taken. Could have on another week got goal of the round for me as well, but this was a really couple of real nice cameo. I think Palmeiras had probably won the game already. To be fair, going into the last sort of 8 minutes of the game, 2-1 up, looking a little bit comfortable, but he put the seal on it with some really nice finishes.
Yeah, he's got that in his locker. He's always was bubbling under at Man United. There was high expectations of him. He did go to Flamengo on loan, I think, a couple of years ago, and did pretty well. So he's no stranger to the Brazilian league. He is actually a Belgian born, so I don't think he spent much of his youth in Brazil, but he has played with Flamengo before, so at the top of the Brasileirão. And yeah, like you said, Palmeiras are looking ominous now. They're kind of rolling on. They're into the semis of the Copa Libertadores, and they'll be aiming to do what Fogo did last year and do the double. They're still just 2 points behind Flamengo, who we haven't mentioned yet. Flamengo drop points against Vasco at home, which leaves the door open for Palmeiras to 2 points behind them with a game in hand. So they are looking like they're ready to capitalize on that. And with Pereira involved, he was a big player for Fulham. He somehow dropped out of the reckoning, I think, towards the end of last year, and I think there was rumblings that he could have moved to Palmeiras earlier, I think, last winter. But he's there now, and showing his quality already. What a good performance, and what a weapon to add for Abel Ferreira and his team. Just on Fortaleza, George, they changed the manager recently as well, didn't they? They're looking in real trouble. And Sport Recife won. We haven't even mentioned that yet. They were, we've written them off long ago, but they're only 4 points off Fortaleza now, and they're not in bad form. And they actually play each other next. So that is a real chance for Sport to close the gap, isn't it?
Oh, it really is, James. Like we said last week, Sport, they just keep needing to chugging on, get the points on the board. All right, it might seem an impossible task right now, but it's really not. They're 8 points, I think they're 9 points off 16th place Galo now. It's not out of this world that they get, that they claw them points back. They're in decent form. Got a win over Corinthians over the weekend. It was a lovely goal to win it as well in the end. And yeah, why not? Why not? I don't see why they can't go and beat Fortaleza on the weekend, go within a point of them and then surpass them. A little bit of work to do to get out the relegation zone, but like I said, it's not out of this. It's not out of the question. Definitely not. They'll be buoyant. They're in good form. No, couple of games undefeated. They've only lost 2 out the last 5, which is a big improvement on previous form. I know they've only won 1, But, like I said last week, a point is a good point and at the top level. And, where there's still mathematically hope, they're gonna fancy it. So, all the best to them, and I hope they can get something out of that Fortaleza game, to be honest.
Yeah, if they don't, then you would have to say it's looking a bit difficult for them, and it would give them a massive boost. Mathematically, there is still enough games, and it wouldn't need them to go on a ridiculous run. They could still stay up. So yeah, but Fortaleza, very, very disappointing. They did get the win that week before against Vittoria, which felt big. This was obviously a much more difficult game for them. They would have never expected to get anything but. And to be fair, they were in the game until Pereira came on and took it away from the last. So maybe not a terrible result, but they will have their eye on that one and know that they need to get something from that because they are in danger of following up a really good season last year with a relegation. So disappointing for them. Anyway, George, let's move on to the final award of the episode, which is going to be the goal of the round. And yeah. Yeah, you mentioned there Pereira got a couple of nice goals, but he wasn't in the running, really, was he?
No, I think there were a couple of nice finishes. You've got to say, but overall, over the piece, I think Hercules got a good goal for Fluminense in their draw. Or they beat Vittoria, didn't they? Just the 1-0. He got the winning goal. That was a nice goal. But overall, I think there was no disputing. Well, there probably was in the end. I don't know if you've seen them, but it was all in this game. And again, the award goes to Cruzeiro player. Gabigol won it last week. It was a heck of a goal, that. I think Gabigol's was better than the winner this week. But for me, this goal was fabulous as well in its own right. And the winner of the award is Mr. Lucas Silva. But it was a contentious one as well with Jonathan, who is of RB Bragantino, who Cruzeiro did beat in this game. And Jonathan put them in the lead in the 26th minute. This was a lovely goal. James nicely controlled, bent it into the top corner past Casio. No chance for him in the goal. But then, the winner of the award came in the 45th minute, right on the stroke of half time. Silva came up with the goods. He actually dummied, and he did for Jonathan in and around the penalty area. Feinted to shoot, dummied it, and then he just blasted it into the top corner. And it was well far out. It was a great finish, and for me, that one had to clinch it. And he's a really experienced player, actually. In his third spell in Belo Horizonte. He's former Real Madrid player as well, James. I don't know if you remember him playing for them.
I don't think so. No, Lucas Silva. No.
It was a while back in the January 15-16 season. So, sorry, the 14-15 season he played for Real Madrid. Came from Cruzeiro. So that was 10 years ago now. So, he's 32, so he was a young player at the time. Then he went on loan to Marseille, and then from there he's gone back to Cruzeiro, then Gremio, and then back to Cruzeiro again in the summer of 23. So he's flirted with Cruzeiro a lot in his career. I don't think he'll have scored that many more better than that in his career. He's only got a handful of career goals anyway. Former Brazilian under 21 international, but have a look at it when you get the chance, James. It was a great goal.
Yeah, I don't remember him at all at Real Madrid, but he must have been doing something right from going from Cruzeiro to Real Madrid. They don't often miss with these Brazilians anymore, but obviously didn't quite work out for him. But yeah, nice to see him getting one on, and he put Cruzeiro on the path to a good win, 4 in a row now in Serie A for them. They're hanging in there alongside Flamengo and Palmeiras, 1 point below Flamengo, but with having played a game more. So they're not kind of the front runners, but they're very much still in there. And they look like they're not going to go anywhere until that latter stage of the season. So you wouldn't rule them out just yet, really. You can't rule them out, and they're hanging around. And fourth place, George's Mirasol, we just say quickly, another 2-0 win for them. They just keep absolutely rolling on. It is crazy what they're doing in there. 42 points now, 23 games. It's mind-boggling work, to be fair. They're a good 7 points ahead of seventh. They look good for the Copa Libertadores. It's a magical season for them.
It's unbelievable, James. I mean, they haven't lost. The only game they've lost for a good bit of time was against Flamengo, and there's no disgrace in that. At the Maracanã, is there? So it's unbelievable. And the manager again might be in line for another, manager of the month award. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, incredible. Ronaldo got 8 goals he scored this season, James, from he's playing at left back. It's incredible. Really, and a nice goal as well to boot from Renato on the weekend as well, which was another one in the contention maybe for goal of the round, but it didn't surpass Silva's goal. But they just keep going on. Guanara is doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, he definitely is. Right, let's end the show there in terms of the awards, and let's look ahead, George, to what's to come in Matchday 25.
Yeah, it would be a pleasure of mine, James, to get them to you. And so the next round of fixtures just start on Saturday, the 27th of September, with Fort Laser. Sport Recife. Juventude host Inter. Vasco against Cruzeiro. Inter Sunday the 28th. Galo against Mirasol. Grêmio against Vitória. Bahia host Palmeiras. Flu host Fogo, and RB Bragantino host Santos. Inter the 29th, then Monday, Corinthians against Flamengo. And the match day rounds up with Sao Paulo hosting Ceará.
Yeah, very good. What's catching your eye there is the game of the round then, George?
There's got to be Fortaleza against Sport, James. I think the basement battle, I have to go for that one, James. It will be fascinating to see. I think if Fortaleza lose, they'll be really, really looking over the shoulders and thinking, is it relegation almost confirmed this now? Because if you lose to the bottom side there, not been in good form, only one winner in after from a little while, they're going to be struggling, and mentally it's going to be draining. So I'm going to go for that one.
Yeah, got to be. It's a big game this weekend, isn't it? It's like you said, Fortaleza, if they lose that, they'll start probably mentally thinking that they might well be down. I don't know, that the rest of them don't look all that kind of crazily exciting, to be honest. There's nothing in terms of teams around each other really playing for anything much. So I'm just going to pick one. Corinthians Flamengo. We don't seem to have spoken about Flamengo an awful lot recently, and Corinthians, as we said, there had an awful result lost against Sport Recife. So, why not? Let's look at Corinthians Flamengo.
Fair enough, James. Yeah, that's a decent. Always good to look at the top end of the table as well. And I'm not sure. I think Palmeiras might come and surpass Flamengo. But...
Well, it's not easy to go away to Corinthians, really. So Palmeiras are at Bahia, though. So that's a pretty tough game for them as well. But yeah, so much excitement always to come every weekend, isn't there, in Brazil? Right, let's look at the table then, George. Let's have a run down.
So top of the table, James, is Flamengo on 51 points. Second is Cruzeiro on 50. Third is Palmeiras on 49. Fourth, Mirasol on 42. Fifth, Fogo on 40. Sixth, Bahia on 37. Seventh is Sao Paulo on 35. Eighth is Fluminense on 31. Also on 31 points in ninth position is RB Bragantino. 10th is Corinthians on 29. 11th is Grêmio on 29 as well. Ceará in 12th on 28. 13th is Vasco on 27. 14th is Inter on 27 as well. 15th Santos on 26. 16th is Galo on 25. 17th, and in the relegation zone plays James's Vitória on 22 points. 18th Juventude on 21. 19th is Fortaleza on 18 points. And bottom of the pile, as always, although winners, like we said last weekend, is Sport Recife on 14 points.
Yeah, fantastic. Recife definitely looking up. But yeah, we'll see that game next weekend, which you're going to take a closer look at. George is going to determine quite a lot for them. Right, well, that's it for another week. Thank you for listening, everybody. It's been another good show, another step closer towards the end of the Brasileirão season. So I hope you've all enjoyed, and remember to like, comment, subscribe, all of that.
Yeah, like, comment, and subscribe, everybody. What a good show it's been. I do.